Hello everyone. In last lecture we have discussed about the software development life cycles, and in this lecture we are going to see some models that are available in software development life cycle that we use in our day-to-day software development. So first one is the very basic waterfall model. We have discussed all this model in software engineering. Just we review this in software quality assurance. So we get an idea regarding the sum. So first of all, waterfall model, in that there are different phases are there: requirement analysis, system design, implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So it's called as waterfall model because output of one phase is the input of another phase. So whatever the first phase is requirement analysis, where all the requirements of customers are gathered together, and when it is fulfilled, then designing gets starts. So its output is the input of system design where the designing is performed. After that, it goes to coding, or we can say it as a implementation where the actual functionality has done. The output of implementation phase is the input for the testing. So whatever the code has been done here, it must be tested in a testing field. There are different testing strategies used over here, like manual testing, automation testing, unit testing, black box testing. As per the client's requirement, the testing has been done here, and then the next phase is the deployment, where after the testing, the system get deployed at client or the customer's environment, and where the client checks whether it gives the exact result or not. If it is, then it uses the system. If it is find an error, then it goes to the next phase, that is the maintenance, where the all the errors get recovered. So this is the simple waterfall model, and all these phases are requirement analysis, system design, implementation, integration and testing, deployment, and last one is the maintenance. So there are some application where we can use the waterfall model are where the requirements are very well documented and clear and fixed. So if the organization has a great idea about the requirements, then they can use the waterfall model. Product definition is stable, so what are the requirements, or what are the functionality the client or the customer wants in the system must be stable. There is no modification in system, if otherwise the waterfall model get fails. Next one is the technology is understood and is not dynamic. So I told you before, the product definition is stable and the changes are static only. So if it is dynamic, then waterfall model cannot be work, and all the requirement must be understand in a requirement analysis phases. There is no ambiguous requirements, so there is must not be any duplication, any confusion in requirements. Otherwise the all system get fail, because the input of requirement analysis, sorry, output of requirement analysis is the input of design. So all the phases are relevant and depend on each other. So there must not be any ambiguous requirement, and the project must be short and simple. So if all these cases are are matched to our software, then we can go through waterfall model. Then there are some advantages of waterfall model, that are it's simple and easy to understand and use, because the all the phases are separately work, so it's easy to understand. Phases are processed and completed one at a time. So first the requirement analysis done, after that system design, because when we get all the requirements, then only we can design the system, then we can coding the system. After coding we can test the code, and then deployment, and then maintenance. So all the phases work independently. So this is the advantages of waterfall model. Next is the works well for the smaller project where the requirements are well understand. So if there is any complexity, then uh, the company does not go with waterfall model. If project is small and all the requirements are well understood by the company, then only it goes with waterfall model. And in waterfall model clearly define the stages, well understood milestones. So whatever the work we have done and what we have to do, that must be understand in a waterfall model. It's easy to arrange the task. And last one is the process and results are well documented. So every phase make its own document. So it's a well prepared documents in a waterfall model. There are some disadvantages also in waterfall model. High amounts of risk and uncertainty because the testing phase perform at the end. So if here the risk is generated, then it's difficult to overcome that risk at the end. Not a good model for the complex and object oriented projects. So it's applicable only for the simple projects. It's a Next one is it's a poor model for the long and ongoing project. So if the project is short and for the certain period, then it's good. If it is long term project, then the company never go with waterfall model. And if it is complex, then also company never go with waterfall model. It's not suitable for the projects where the requirements are at moderate to high risk of changing. So as we have discussed that it is applicable for the static projects where the requirements never get changes. At that time, the waterfall model is applicable. If it is dynamic or the requirements are not fixed, it change regularly, then waterfall model get fail. It is difficult to measure the progress within the stages. So every phase work independently. So we cannot understand whether how much work we have to do and when it will be completed. So it is difficult to measure the progress in waterfall model. So our next model is iterative model. In a waterfall model, every stage is work independently and at a time one phase works. But in iterative model, the whole work or the all requirements are divided into sub module. So first some requirements get by the company. It gives to the design and development team where the first module get designed and developed. After that it test it and implement it. After that the organization gets new requirements, then or it gives to design and development team, then again testing and implementation. So the whole work is divided into number of modules, and that modules perform all the phase simultaneously. So here first get the requirement, and as per the priority of requirements the system get designed into sub module, and after that it integrated into single system. So this is the iterative models where the requirements are divided into different subsystem. So there are some advantages and disadvantages of iterative models. The advantages are some working functionality can be developed quickly and early in life cycle. So it's not like a waterfall model where all the system is done at a time and then it gives to the customer. It develop the sub module, and then it gives to customer. If customer gives some modification, then again it modify the design, testing and development. So customer use some part of the system early phase. Next one is results are obtained in early and periodically. So here first requirements, priority requirements are fulfilled. It and it deployed to the at the customer end. So customer can test the product periodically. Parallel development can be planned. So here the designing, development, testing. So parallel working on the system, all the requirements are equally treated and work on module. Progress can be measured. So whatever the modules get completed, on basis of that, uh, the company understand the progress of software. It's less costly to change the scope of requirements because all work not done at a time. It divides the work into sub module. So if the change has been done, it's not so much costly as compared to waterfall model. So next one is testing and debugging during smaller iteration and easy. So at the time whole system not get tested. So all the modules get tested. So the testing work is minimized every time. For the every model the testing has been done, so it's easy to maintain. Risks are identified and resolved during the iteration, and each iteration is easily managed the milestone. So at every module, uh, every model, the risk analysis has been done. If any risk is generated, then again the same thing happen. That means if risk is generated, then again change in design, change in coding, change in testing, and then as per the to resolve the risk, the necessary steps has been taken. Next one, easier to manage the risk and high risk is done first. With every increment, operational product is delivered. So here the first model is developed, then it gives to the customer. Then second model is give to customer. Customer check it and give some modification and suggestion, and after that again do the modification and give it to the customer until the customer satisfied. The iteration is going on. Issue, challenges, and risk identified from the each increment can be utilized and applied to the next increment. So I had already told this. The risk analysis is better. It supports the changing requirements. So as the system is modular, when the customer get that particular module, it gives some changes if as per their requirement, and so it supports the changing requirements. Better suited for the large and mission critical projects. It's applicable for the large project or long term project where the continuous work is going on. There are some disadvantage of iterative model, that more resources may be required because all the works perform simultaneously. So at that time analysis is done, then designing is done, then coding and testing is done simultaneously. So more resources may be required. More management attention is required because the management must be focused on each and every phases. So there must be attention on each and every phase of iterative model. Then defining increments may require definition of the complete system. The system, so the all the requirement must be known in advance. So whatever the requirements of the customer must be known advance, so that as per their requirement the models can be designed. Not suitable for the smaller project because it's a long term process, and if the project is large, then only it can be divided into small modules. So it's only applicable for the large or long term projects. Next one, management complexity is more as the multiple phases are working simultaneously, so there is overhead on management. So management complexity is more. Next one is high skilled resources are required for risk analysis. So every time the risk get find out at each and every module, so there must be a resource must be available which can find out the risk in early stages. So next one is the spiral model design. Here we find the number of iterations are performed here. It looks like a spiral, and the phases are identification, then design, then construction or build, and then evaluation and risk analysis. So in spiral model, the phases are identification, design, construct or build, and evaluation and risk analysis. In spiral model, it assumes that the customer requirements are obtained in a multiple iteration, and development also work in a multiple iterations. First, some functionality are added, then the product is created and released to the customer. After the first iteration, that is mean first all the phases are completed. At that after that, add another requirements to the existing one, thus increasing the size of software spirally. So first do the identification, then do the design, then construction, and then check whether any risk is analysis. If risk is, if it finds some risk, then again do the same thing. So its number of spirals are there until the customer get satisfied. The spiral model is perform identification, design, construction, and evaluation and risk analysis phase. So in identification, it gets the requirement. It in design phase, it performs different types of architectural design, logical design, model design, physical product design, and final design in the subsequent spirals. In construction, it gives the proof of concept. That means it perform the working and give it to the customer and get the customer's feedback. If the customer is satisfied, then only it forwards to the next phase. So it is known as the POC, that is proof of concept. Here we find that POC in construction phase. Then the subsequent spirals with higher clarity on requirements and design details, a working model of the software called the build is a procedure with a version number. So when the first iteration done, the first version number is given to the model. After that, get the feedback from the customers, and then do the modification as per the customer requirement. And after that, risk analysis has been done, where the customer find out the some or the analysis team find out some risk of the project and modify the iterations. There are some advantages of spiral model. First one is changing requirements can be completed as the number of iteration has been done. If the change occur, then it modify the module. Requirements can be captured more accurately because there are number of iteration has been done in identification phase. Until the company understand all the requirements, the iteration must be goes on. So the requirements can be captured more accurately. Users see the system early because first iteration has been done, then customer can view the view its software or the product, then it gives some another modifications in that, then next module has been done. Development can be divided into smaller parts, and the risk parts can be developed earlier, which helps the better risk management. So these are some advantages of spiral model. Next one is the V model. It looks like a V shape, and it also known as the verification and validation model. So it's very famous and it overcomes the issues and problems occur in a waterfall model. So the phases are requirement analysis, system design, architectural design, module design, then coding, and after that validation has been done. The verification done it simultaneously with these phases. and after that the validation has been done. The V model is SDLC model where the execution of the process happens in a sequential manner in a V shape. It also known as the verification and validation model. The V model is an extension of waterfall model. So whatever the problems or the issues occur in a waterfall model that are overcome in verification and validation model. This means that the every single phase in the development cycle there is directly associated with the testing phase. So each and every phase in a waterfall model, the testing comes at the end. So if their high risk is high risk is find out at the testing phase, then it's difficult to work on it. So in V model, the testing is done simultaneously with each and every phase. This is highly disciplined model and next phase starts only after the completion of the previous phase. So when the requirements all finalized, then it goes to the system design, then it goes to architecture design, then modular design, then coding, and then validation has been done. So there are some advantages of V model method. This highly disciplined method and phases are completed one at a time. So here first requirement analysis has been done, and at that time the designing phase is completed. When system design has done, system test designing is completed. Simultaneously with it, as per the system design, the design cases are generated. As per the architecture design, integration and testing design has been done. So works well for the smaller project where the requirements are very well understood. So it also applicable for the smaller project where the requirements are minimized, and all the requirements must be understood by the organization. It's simple and easy to understand to use. There are some disadvantages: high risk and uncertainty, because as testing is done at the end, uh, it if any problem or issues or occur at the after the coding, then it is difficult to implement in the system. So high risk and uncertainty, not good model for the complex and object oriented project. It's only applicable for the simple projects. Poor model for the long and ongoing projects. So this is also same disadvantages as it is in waterfall model. Poor model for the long and ongoing project. So it's work for only small and simple projects, not suitable for the projects where the requirements are moderate to high risk of changing. So it's only applicable for the static requirements, not for the dynamic requirements. Once an application is in testing stage, it's difficult to go back and change a functionality. So here after coding the testing phase starts, and in testing phase if the test if any modification or changes occur, then it's difficult to do the previous phases. Next, no working software is produced until late during the lab cycle. So after the construction has been done, then there is very difficult to do the modification. So no project work after the coding phase has been completed. So these are some models that we have discussed in this lecture. So here we end our session. In this session we have discussed the important models work in a SDLC system, waterfall model, then spiral model, iteration model, and V model. Okay, here we end this session. So thank you for watching.